Good morning, everybody. Good morning, traders. Good morning, investors. Long-term, short-term, swing traders, day traders. Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. My name is Jason Krutzky. It is a pleasure to be with you this morning. It is Wednesday morning, and it is early. Props to you guys for being up and at it this morning. And why are we here this morning? Well, of course, we are here because of CPI. And we get to do this every month. You know, we get a CPI print every single month. And this one, it could be interesting. This one could move markets. We're not really sure what's going to come of it. The general consensus from what I'm reading is the year-over-year report is meant to come down from last month's report. Last month, we were at 6%. The general expectation today is 5.2%. So a pretty decent decrease in the CPI number. Now, admittedly, I am no CPI expert. Whenever these important economic data points come around, people come out of the woodwork, and you have a ton of people waxing poetic about why the market's going to do this or that based off of this or that number that gets released. And here's the reality. I have no idea what's going to happen. If you think you know what's going to happen, I would encourage you to put those feelings aside for a bit. I do have up on my chart kind of the past 3 CPI reports that we got. So last month, the February report that we received in March came in line, and we were towards, I think what's kind of more important here isn't even how the report came in, it's where we were in the general trend, where was price relative to where price had been. And we were in line last month. We were towards the bottom of the general area that we'd been trading within. If these were the lows and these were the highs, we were towards the bottom of it, and we gained. We went higher. We held lows. We gained. We went higher. The month before, the number actually came in better than expected, and we were at the top of the trend, and we went lower. And again, previously in January, we were relatively towards the bottom of the trend, and we went higher on an inline number. So where are we now relative to where we've been? Well, we're just kind of hanging out here towards the top of this area that we've been trading within for really all of last quarter. We're hanging out at the top of the range, and we've just been kind of running sideways for 7 days, 6 days? Will this data point push us out of this range? It's very possible. It could. It might. We're going to be looking for it. What are you guys thinking? I'm curious to know because, I'm just kind of sitting here talking about these things. But what are you guys thinking? Where are your heads at? Good morning to you all. Again, thank you for being here with us. I'm curious to know what you're thinking for CPI. I want to know, where are you tuning in from? Lori, what's up? How are you? You want me to turn off the music? Oh, you know what? Hold on. I am so sorry. Holy cow, you guys. Could you even hear me when I was talking? We did some yesterday. We were playing around and working on a new setup here. I'm so sorry, Alexa. I really apologize about that. I had my music turned way too loud. So many apologies. Could you hear anything I was saying at all? Exactly, Lloyd. I think that you have hit the nail on the head there, Lloyd. The market will do what it will do. And that's it. That's what we have to... Okay, right on, Lori. Cool. It was loud, but good vibe. Okay, glad you guys could hear me. So how are you guys positioned into this? Did you take trades? Did you take positions yesterday coming into this? Are you kind of hanging out, sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the data announcement to kind of see? Juan, you liked it. Right on. I mean, we try and bring some good low-key, lo-fi vibes to the stream. Lori's sitting it out. Okay, so one in the sitting it out column. I'm currently flat. I went flat yesterday kind of towards the end of the day, because like you, Lori, I've learned my lesson playing days like today. But I am very curious to know where you guys' heads are at. What's up, Jose? You're hanging out until you see the initial reactions. Yeah, that's where my head's at too. You know, one thing that was kind of interesting that we noted on the TrendSpider Twitter account, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but on the Qs we've got double inside day, right? Yesterday or 2 days ago, sorry, Monday went inside, and then yesterday went inside as well. And actually, that is kind of rare. I'm going to show you guys real quickly. Whenever we see things that are relatively rare, it's kind of a good idea to utilize the strategy tester and test and see what does price do when those rare things occur. And this could be, you know, a big move. If QQQ closes down 5% today or something like that, or if it closes up 5% today, if there's a big move, I always like to back test and see how often does a big move play out in this particular name, and you know what kind of happens afterwards. So that double inside day, although it's not that wild, you know, obviously it's a very kind of boring 2 days, right? We went inside, so price action was really tight. But on the Qs, it doesn't happen very often. So let me show you guys real quick how to test something like this. It's definitely, I think, helpful. You have this tool, utilize it. You know, it's helpful to go in and inspect these sorts of things. So we go to add parameter. This is obviously my strategy tester. If anybody has any questions, do let me know. We're going to select condition, and we're going to select candlestick pattern, and then we're going to just search inside, and we're going to do inside any, and then I'm going to do one more. So condition, candlestick pattern, inside any. And then what I want to do is I want to set one of these to one candle ago. So essentially this is the current candle, this is one candle ago, so 2 days back to back inside. And then for our exit, we can really choose any exit. Generally, I'm just going to do a number of candles have passed and say, like, we'll start off with one. You know, what happens 1 day later? I'm going to switch the test to a longer test period. This is 7,000 candles. So 24 years of data, only 23 times has a double inside day occurred in 24 years. That's once a year, essentially, is what that boils down to. Once a year. We haven't seen this happen since, what, December of 2020. So it hasn't happened in, like two years, something like that. Oh, 3 years. Sorry, 3 years. No, 21, 22, 2.25 years. So kind of interesting, right? It doesn't happen very often. Looks like a relatively muted response when it does. So 23 positions, your average win is 1.36%. Win rate is 68%. So 68% of the time, this thing gains the next day after a double inside day. Kind of interesting. Let me get to some of these. Lloyd, there are a lot of shorts in the market, so unless data comes in lower than expected, market will close lower. Initial reaction is often reversed later. Yep, that's definitely true. Initial reaction, you watch that initial reaction. A lot of people play the counter to the initial reaction for sure. Alexa, yes. Yep, we are getting data here in about 22 minutes, something like that. So while we wait on that to come, let me get from you guys tickers that you want to watch, because I'm going to definitely make sure to switch over to multi-chart view and make it so that we can kind of all watch the symbols that we want to watch. So if you have something specific that you want to watch, do let me know. I will add it to the list. Jose, what do you think are the key levels of the market once we know the data? Well, it depends. What ticker are you referring to? I mean, on the Qs, what are we doing? We're consolidating above previous highs. Kind of this level in here. What is this? This is like 313.60, somewhere thereabouts. To me, that's probably pretty key. There's a gap down here at 308. That might be worth watching. SPY. Yeah, so SPY really the same deal, right? Consolidating above those highs. Let me add this. Show price 405.5, somewhere thereabouts. So that's going to be pretty key, I think. 405.5 on SPY, and then probably the next level higher, somewhere up in here, 417.5 or so. Those are both going to be important spots. And the reason why I think that they would be important is because I just think it's where you'd have stops, right? You probably have, if there are shorts in the market, depending on their conviction, it's likely that they have stops above this high, right? So if price were to come, if price were to look for a place where there might be liquidity, you would anticipate that it would be looking somewhere where there might be a lot of stops. So you could see if price does go higher, then maybe you look for profit taking somewhere up around here. You look for a lot of action to occur somewhere above these highs. You probably have a lot of longs who have stops below this 405.5 level, somewhere thereabouts. It's a loose area, but somewhere in here. You probably got a bunch of longs with stops. So, you know, depending on the volatility of the move today, maybe we get a really volatile move. Maybe we don't. Hard to know. But if it's going to be a long move, maybe they go and they take a bunch of stops down here before they turn it. Or maybe they run it higher, take a bunch of stops before they turn it lower. There's a saying, in order to go higher, you have to go lower. And in order to go lower, you have to go higher, right? It's something to kind of think about. When you're thinking about taking longs, right, you're kind of looking for opportunities. You're looking for pullbacks to take longs. Same idea with shorts, but I think it's kind of harder to have that philosophy. If you want to take a short, you want to see price going higher. If you want to take a long, you want to see price going lower, right? But it's tricky to really feel that and do that. But those would be key for me. Now, I mean, that's a pretty big move. You're talking about what, like a $8 move on SPY to get to those highs? It's a pretty big move. I don't know that that'll necessarily happen today. Rope-a-dope going to highs, then slam it the other way, then sideways grind back up. Right. Yeah, I mean, something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Y'all ain't sent me any tickers except for SPY. We know we're going to do SPY. I'm going to definitely do all of like the major indices. Let me go ahead and get this going here. I'm going to switch this so that we have them up and running and ready. I'm going to throw in some important indices. XLE seems important. GLD, everyone's watching that. What's NAS? I don't know NAS. Is that NASDAQ? Oh, you want to watch futures? We could do that. So let me switch the time frame here. Usually for these data announcements, I like to go down to the 1 minute. If that's too small a time frame for y'all, just let me know. We can make it a little bit bigger. But I usually like to watch the small time frame when it comes to these announcements. DBA, commodity without oil. Let's do that. DBA. Agriculture. Ah, interesting. I need to put extended hours on all these. Okay. Actually, let me do this. ES1. Here's your ES futures. Any other tickers you guys want to watch? Something gold? Yeah, Robert, we got GLD right here. Maybe Apple? Usually folks like to watch Apple. Cryptos? Any crypto? Bitcoin? NVDA? Sure thing, Lori. Tesla, Microsoft, Dixie. So here's Microsoft. Let's throw Tesla up there. And on Dixie, let me put it right here. I'm going to put on UUP, which is the ETF equivalent. So we keep an eye on that there. CS, Credit Suisse. I mean, the banks, how about XLF for banks? Two-year notes. What's the ticker for that? TLT? Admittedly, I really don't follow treasuries very much. But perhaps TLT? Oh, that's the 20. What's the 2-year? Let me look. I guess I could look myself, couldn't I? U2. Is that right? Two-year. There you go. All right. We got the 2-year up. We got the XLF here. This is the financials. We got the dollar, the UUP here, Tesla, Microsoft, NVIDIA. Is our little tech column or row, I guess. We got about 13 minutes until the announcement. While you guys are here, real quick, if you could hook me up with a like, a subscribe here on the channel, I would be so appreciative. Those likes and subscribes actually do go quite a long way for a young man like myself. Oh, KRE, regional banks. That's not a bad idea. Let's do that instead of Apple. Because we got Tesla, we got Microsoft, we got NVIDIA. Here's your KRE. What analysis type do I trade? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Alex. Can you clarify? But yes, like and subscribe to the channel. This definitely helps me out in a big way. I really appreciate it. For anybody who is not aware, after this, a couple hours after this, 12 o'clock Eastern time today, I'm going to be live again, but on Twitter Spaces, on the TrendSpider Twitter Spaces. We have a monster cast today on TrendSpider Twitter Spaces. Let me read off the names that we have today hanging out with us. We've got Christian Fromhertz. We've got Anne-Marie Band. We've got Andrew O'Connell. He's at Real Pristine Cap. We've got OG Trades. You guys know him from the Strat community. We've got Michael Naus. We've got Steve Straza from All Star Charts. And we've got Caleb Franzen from Cubic Analytics. Actually, we also have Matt Caruso as well, one-time, two-time investing champion. We've got a ton of people hanging out on Spaces today, 12 p.m. Eastern time, talking shop about CPI, talking shop about really just kind of whatever they want to share with us, you know, kind of where their heads are at on the market, post CPI numbers, what their expectations are. We've got a ton of smart people. I'm going to share the link with y'all real quick. Here is a link to that space. Would love for you guys to join, hang out, come listen. I know we're going to learn a lot. Always learn a lot talking to these guys, such a smart group of folks. So again, that's 12 o'clock Eastern time with Christian Fromhertz, Anne-Marie Band, Andrew O'Connell, OG Trades, Michael Naus, Steve Straza, Caleb Franzen, and Matt Caruso. Banger group today. Stoked to get to hang out with them. Stoked to get to talk shop. If you guys have any specific questions for any of those folks, do let me know. Be happy to peel some of those questions off and talk to them. Morning, Slawlock. How's it going, man? Mr. Quintero. Good to see you here again today. Appreciate that. What are your expectations for today? Vikas, good to see you. Raymond, I'm not sure what you said. It looks like Nightbot got you, but if you want to tell me again, let me know. Also, I want to, after the announcement, after, a few minutes of price action, we're going to hang out and just watch price action probably for 10 minutes or something, 10 or 15 minutes. And if you guys want to pull up other charts, we can do that too. But after that, I want to walk you guys through some new functionality on the platform. So it's kind of like how we'll end the show with some new functionality on the platform. Now, if you've been a user of TrendSpider for some time, you're probably familiar with how we can share scans. You can share your watch lists with folks. If you have other TrendSpider users, maybe you're in our Discord and you like to share ideas back and forth. Well, we've added to that functionality, and you can now share strategies from the strategy tester. So full strategies with entry and exit conditions. You can share those now. Super, super cool functionality. I want to walk you guys through how it works and what you can do with it. So if you want to see what that's all about, do hang out through to the end so I can walk you through it. If you're not yet a TrendSpider user, let me hook you up. Hold on one second. Here is a link. It's also in the description. So if ever you are interested, you can always pull it from the description of all of these YouTube lives. But here's a link. This is a 35% discount for you guys on any plan that you want, monthly, yearly, any of the 3 tiers. Please take advantage of this. We have free 7-day trials. You got no reason not to give it a go if you're not already a user. Interesting, Raymond. It just redacted your message again, but I'm pretty sure you said CELZ. I'm going to go over here real quick and see what that looks like. Is that right? Creative Medical. That's a pretty ugly looking chart, my friend. But that February 6th, whatever happened February 6th, February 8th, just going to see what it says because now I'm curious. 3-year follow-up data for its stem spine pilot study demonstrating the continued efficacy of the stem spine, say that 5 times fast, procedure for chronic lower back pain without any serious adverse effects. Interesting. All right, you guys, we are just a couple minutes away from this announcement. I'm curious to know, what are your expectations? Do we want to run a little poll? Let's see. Can I run a poll? Yes. I'm going to run a poll. CPI. Just creating a little poll real quick. There we go. What do we think, guys? Throw a vote in. Throw your votes in the hat. Let me know what you're thinking. CPI hotter than expected, cooler than expected, or in line. Hotter than expected, winning so far. In line winning quite a bit. Yeah, pretty impressive move on Bitcoin. Taking out that 30K level. That's interesting. So in line. You guys are thinking in line, huh? It's kind of where my head's at too. And the question is then, how will the Fed react? The Fed meets again May 3rd, which again, of course, will be live for FOMC. As of right now, I believe there's the market's pricing in a 70% chance of a 25 bips hike. So you have to wonder how today's announcement could affect that. In line, though, seems to be the expectation here. Alex, I'm curious, though. You said, what analysis type do you trade? I'm curious what you mean by that, my friend. Got about 4 minutes here. Buffett with some bearish bank comments this morning. Yeah, you know, I saw that. I saw JC was talking about that. Buffett owns like 1 billion shares of Bank of America. I don't know. What was he saying exactly? Oh, yeah. Interesting. I can see that. Your head and shoulders, a little head and shoulders pattern. They did trade below this low, which seems important. Said he expects more to fail, but he'd buy them. Ah, it's almost like he wants it to happen, so he can. Where's the uranium chart, James? Which uranium chart do you want? URA? We could throw that up. Let's see. What can we move? Wow. And why uranium? Is there a particular reason? I know it's been kind of moving lately. 1.5 minutes. Market's kind of selling off initially ahead of the announcement. And here we go. We got the announcement. Markets like it so far. So initial move is higher. Look at this. What a move. So then it had to come in cool, huh? Energy likes it. The dollar doesn't like it. Tesla likes it. All the risk on stuff likes it. Gold up too, though. Interesting. So let's see. Month over month, actual 0.1%, expecting 0.2%, so that was down. CPI year over year, actual 5%, expecting 5.2%. CPI core, month over month, actual 0.4%, expecting 0.4%, so it was in line. CPI core year over year, so core excludes what I think, food and energy, is that right? Core year over year, actual 5.6%, expecting 5.6%. So month over month came down from expectations. Year over year, no, I'm sorry. CPI actual, no, gosh, I'm confusing you guys. I'm confusing myself. CPI year over year, expecting 5.2, actual was 5%. Core CPI year over year, actual 5.6, expecting 5.6. So core was in line. Year over year, standard, not excluding, came in a little bit lower. What a move from the NQ. What a move from all of them. Very, very impressive. What's up, Lloyd? Forever. What does that mean? You know what? Ah, there it is. I was going to say, what's going on with Microsoft? Where? How come it's not moving? It was just off the chart. Now, my curious question, I'm going to very quickly come over to the Qs here and see where we are. Yeah, they're coming into those highs, y'all. 321. We're trading 319.5. So then you got to wonder what they're going to do when they come into these highs, if they get there. On the SPY, let's check SPY real quick. SPY taking out the highs of the range, I mean. Made a new high relative to the April 4th high. Where they headed? We got to be looking over here at these highs, right? What are they going to do up there? That's my big question. Very, very impressive strength so far. Now the question is, do you fade the initial move? What do we think? Do you think this is a fade the move? Let's ask. We're going to end this poll. I'm going to start a new one. Do we fade the move? What do you guys think? Okay, you say no. DHO likes trouble. DHO likes drama. He's going to fade the move. K says no, though. Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to fade moves like this. K thinks we rally the rest of the week. All right, K. K is bulled up. She's ready to go. Uranium does not seem to care. Sometimes your optimism kills you. It's good to be an optimist. Interesting, gold and Bitcoin rallying with everything else. Microsoft pulling back a little bit here. Regional banks digging this announcement. XLE doesn't seem to care too much. Had a little bit of a move. Is this the end of rate hikes in May? Man, your guess is as good as mine. Market seems to maybe think so. At least this initial move is suggesting that, right? So let's see here. Shelter makes up 33% of overall CPI weighting, and it continues to accelerate on a year-to-year basis. February 2023, Shelter up 8.1% year over year. March 2023, Shelter up 8.1% year over year. Meanwhile, headline inflation just fell. Broad-based inflation is declining rapidly. I'm just reading some tweets from my friend Caleb, who is going to be on the Twitter Space today, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, Twitter Space. Year-over-year headline CPI in March just fell 100 basis points versus February. The Fed is winning, albeit at a slow and steady pace. Nonetheless, this is a major accomplishment. Imagine how fast inflation cools once Shelter starts decelerating. He's got interesting points. At Caleb Franzen. Very smart fellow. I'm just kind of reading through here, seeing if there's any interesting hot takes that I can share with you guys. Not seeing a ton out there, if I'm honest. That's why these spaces are so good, because you could just ask people the questions that you want to ask them live in the flesh. But yeah, 88, I don't know. We will see. You know, it seems that maybe things are working. What they were doing, the rate hikes seem to be working. On a year-over-year basis, we're much better off. Well, we're 1% lower than we were a year ago. And like Caleb was talking about with housing, that's kind of interesting. If housing can decelerate, how does that change things? 54% of you said do not fade the move. 46% of you said fade the move. All right. Hive Mind says do not fade. So just watching NQ here, something I notice. Let me switch this to a bigger time frame. Coming into all those highs, our friends over at the Strat here, got a bit of a broadening range thing going on, don't we? Actually, let's go to this guy. Remove some levels for y'all, but this is what I'm talking about. Almost to the penny at that 13,250 spot. Very, very clean broadening range level. These don't always work, but man, when they work, they work. Did you guys play it? Put a fib on it. Daniel, what's up? Let's put a fib on it. Smoking triple stack. You talking that? Daniel, is this where your head's at? Yep. Yeah, so with this, what I would always be doing is I'd be looking at like previous highs and seeing if anything aligns. What did they do? I mean, it's kind of a good example, right? They just come into the previous highs. They took out all of them. You probably had a ton of stops here. You had a ton of stops here. You had a ton of stops here. They just took all of them. Yeah, see, that's what's interesting, DHO. They're all rallying. So, Daniel, the way that you would play this is you would be a buyer on the break here? Is that what you're saying? Oh, okay. Gotcha. You're saying the 618. Yeah, it's all just a matter of how far they pull it back, huh? That broadening range could be important, though. It'd be interesting to see if they get up and over that. I find on these bigger time frames, they have a tendency to work. Favorite scanners. There are so many. Well, so Jeff, all right. This is tricky. This is a very, very tricky question to answer because I don't know anything about how you trade. I don't know anything about the types of tickers you like to trade. I don't know anything about how long the types of trades you like to take. I don't know anything about how long you like to be in trades. You know, what are you looking for exactly? Technical analysis, okay, but I need more than that from you. I need to know, like, I need to know more. You got to tell me more. You like to trade Apple, SPY, Amazon. Okay, so you like to trade tech. Okay. Yeah, but what makes you, generally speaking, stocks that move the market, what makes you get into a trade? You know, what technical setups do you look for? Are there specific things? I'm not sure what I mean. I'm not sure what you mean when you say set up TA. Are you a moving average cross guy? Are you a RSI divergence guy? Are you a, you know, why, what made you get into your last trade? What were you looking at that made you say, yeah, it's time to buy, or yeah, it's time to sell? Bollinger Bands and fibs. Okay. Fibs are tricky. Fibs cannot be scanned for, but Bollinger Bands definitely can be. So then the question is, what time frame do you utilize, and what about Bollinger Bands are you looking for? Are you looking for price coming into an upper band or a lower band, or where's your head at there? Looking for it to bounce off the middle band? Are you looking for specific things to happen in and around the Bollinger Bands? Because it can all be defined in the scanner. We can search for all kinds of different things. One of the biggest things, though, is being able to define what you're after. Stochastic RSI, okay, great. You've given me two things to work with. We can definitely utilize both of those items. But what are you doing? What are you looking for specifically? So let's talk through this a little bit. Actually, before we do that, let me throw the bullies up. I've got those up already. And let me throw up stochastic RSI. And I'll take off this one. Now, admittedly, I'm not super familiar with stochastic RSI. Does not mean I can't help you create something. You start larger time frames, then you go lower for setup. Okay, so on the larger time frames, what are you looking for specifically to get you interested? You like reversing off the extended Bollinger Bands. So so you're saying you want price coming off the top Bollinger Band? Harrison, I'm working to understand what Jeff is specifically looking for. I want to give him what he's after. That's all. I guess, you know, Harrison, you have a good point. He did say he wanted me to recommend my favorite scanners. Okay, fair enough. So let's see here. So this is a, you're right, Harrison. You're right. I'm going to give you that. You're right. I'm sorry. I get caught up in the idea of trying to help people find what they're looking for. Just because I have something that I like to look for doesn't necessarily mean that it works for somebody else. So that's all. And I come from a background of trying to help people develop something for themselves as opposed to something that I would develop for myself. So with that in mind, I'll walk through maybe a few of ones that I'm kind of interested in. Now, this is just a very basic price RSI divergence, right? So I'm a price action trader for anybody who is here that doesn't know my style. I tend not to use too many indicators. I will look for divergences in RSI and price when I'm looking for potential reversal setups. So this is a really, really basic one that I like to share with folks that really is meant to be expanded upon. It's meant to show you how to script an RSI divergence. But from here, it may not find exactly what you're looking for. From here, you may want to adjust this based off of what you might be interested in. So this is just a very, very basic price RSI divergence. Essentially, what do we got here? Price closing greater than the close 3 candles ago, 3 candles ago, close greater than 6 candles ago. So price closing higher while RSI is making lower lows. We'll share this one with you. That's one, you know, something that's kind of interesting that's I'm starting to see come back into play. Back in, I guess it was like summer of 2020, the anchored VWAP pinch scans were like really banging. Those setups were just, they were really playing out to the upside. Of course, it was a totally different time then than it is now. But if you actually look at a long-term chart of the indices, Qs, SPY, whatever, you'll see anchored VWAP pinches going on with the longer-term anchored VWAPs from the highs from the COVID lows. So let me share one of these. Our old friend Pattern Profits. I wonder how he's doing. Let me see here. Yeah, this is the one that I like. This is a weekly pinch. So you're coming off the, let's see, we could talk through these conditions real quick. Let me just let it finish running the scan. Harrison, I appreciate you calling me out. You're definitely right on there. He did ask for my favorite scans. But I always want to help people find what they like to look for. And sometimes people have a hard time with that. So Jeff, I want to help you build something. If you want my help building something, I want to help you build something. Let me share this with you guys. Here is that VWAP pinch scan that I quite like. Yeah, no, of course. I'm an understanding fellow. But this one is just looking for, price stuck between anchored VWAPs. Actually, is this one? No, this isn't the pinch. This is a weekly SMA. Hold up. This is the pinch. Y'all, geez. Yeah, hold on. I'm going to share this one too. Because this is actually the one I like. It's a little short-term pinch, though. I shared the wrong one. I apologize. Let me get you guys this one, too. Here you go. All right, so Jeff, I'm going to come back and read your comments here. Bollinger Bands, we like looking for price kind of up near the upper Bollinger Band. Trading off the 5 and 15, you like reversing off the extended Bollinger Band. Support and resistance lines. Okay, so those can be kind of tricky, right? You can't really scan for those. Daily support and resistance, so like horizontals. There is a way, I will show you, you can utilize zigzag levels. It's actually a really cool way. Let me show you this real quick. On indicators, if you go to zigzag, and you'll see labels above, labels below. I'm just going to very quickly. Here we go. Yes. So this is really interesting. Because these are essentially price action spots, right? They're previous highs, previous lows. And these are labeled. It's hard to see them, but they're there. There's a little A there. I wish I could change the color. I can't. But there's a little A, and then it's got a line coming off of it, and then a B with a line coming off of it, and then a C, a D, and an E with lines coming off of it. And you can actually, in the scanner, you could say like daily price close greater than indicator, daily zigzag, A, right? So you can find price relative to the most previous pivot level. So this would be one way to start defining that bigger trend stuff that you're looking for, like that bigger range trend stuff. I actually use this a lot for finding things like head and shoulders. Here, actually, let me give you this too. So here is these. Okay, so here you go. Let me share this with you. So this is a daily head and shoulders pattern as I understand head and shoulders. Price action head and shoulders. The technical requirements that create a head and shoulders. There are specifics there that I look for. And this helps me find those setups. I have an inverse head and shoulders one too. And it's all utilizing that zigzag. So this can give you some thoughts on how to be thinking about scripting trend. Just big trend moves when you're taking out or losing previous major swing highs or lows. It used to be that you would have to define that using range. And when you have to define it using range, you have to use a candle period. And that's where things get tricky because candle periods are different depending on your time frame, depending on the ticker. With big swing highs and lows, it just makes defining certain things about price action trend easier. Here's the inverse head and shoulders for you. So those are some of my favorites. And let's go to a new one here. And now let's talk about where we were going with this. If they match with auto chart pattern key levels, look for a rejection or a bounce. Only use 50 and 200 SMAs as far as moving averages go. Do you look for something specific with the 50 and the 200? Maybe the 50 above the 200. Like one really, really simple way of defining a basic uptrend or a basic downtrend is defining where moving averages are relative to one another. So for example, whatever your time frame, let's say the 15-minute, I'll say simple. 50 is greater than indicator, 15-minute, simple, 200, right? And you could also say maybe like price, 15-minute, close greater than indicator, 15-minute, Bollinger Band up. You want to get it above the upper Bollinger Band, right? I imagine on stochastic RSI, you're probably looking for, at the very least, you're looking for oversold levels on these two. What is this? This is the RSI and the stochastic, right? So when you go in, my guess, and if I've got this wrong, just let me know. So you've got the percentage D, you've got the percentage K, those two, the red and the blue lines. So you might want to say that the D is greater than a constant value of something. Maybe, I don't know what the oversold level is, 80, I guess. So maybe, or I'm sorry, overbought level. So maybe you want to define both of them. Stochastic K is greater than a constant value of 80. So you've got prices. Well, you've got that the 50 is above the 200. That's a relative uptrend, right? You've got that price is closing greater than the upper Bollinger Band. You've got that the stochastic percentage D and the stochastic percentage K are both above 80. Now you could define the cross. You could define whatever you want. You could say that D is greater than K is greater than D, D cross down on K, so on and so forth. I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for there. Is there a way to show the monthly open, weekly open, daily open, and close levels? I think you mentioned in a video yesterday briefly. Do I use them? I absolutely use big levels like that for sure. You would just need to, well, I mean, you could certainly say things like, you can use price. I mean, you could say, you know, monthly open is less than the current price, 15-minute close, right? Your monthly open is less than your 15-minute close. So price is above your monthly open. Or you could define a different month. You could say the current price is above last month's open or last month's close, you know. It's up to you how you go about that. But yeah, you can certainly use, so you can use up to 4 time frames in the scanner. So that's your limitation there. It's just a matter of, you know, how much you want to define. But yeah, 100% chance. I'm absolutely always pretty keen to know, especially the bigger time frames, your weekly, your monthly, your quarterly, your yearly. I always want to know where that stuff is. Now, whether or not it's relevant at any given time, it may not always be relevant, but it's worth knowing where that stuff is for sure. I mean, Bitcoin is a really great example. If we go to Bitcoin, and you go to the yearly chart on Bitcoin, the 2021 open, or I'm sorry, the 2020 open. No, 2021 open. Yeah, 2021 open. If we go back to the daily, look where we were hanging out. I mean, 2021 open, big deal. It's where we got stopped up and where we've just gained. So yes, absolutely a great idea to know where these things are. But let's do this real quick. So the other thing that I want to do, you said that you're mostly interested in mega caps. So we can't define market cap in the scanner, but we can work around that definition utilizing price conditions and utilizing volume conditions. So whenever I create a scan, no matter what I'm looking for, I'm always going to add filtering conditions to remove noise. Because with scanning, you want to find, me personally, I want to find just a few names. I want to be very specific with the conditions that I'm looking for, and I want to find just a few names that are meeting those conditions. So for example, let's say daily price close is greater than a constant value of maybe 100, right? We want to remove any stock below $100. And then maybe we also want to say for volume moving average. So the average volume, and it was a 20 SMA, so we're looking back 20 days. The average volume traded per day is greater than a constant value of, let's say, 1 million. So let's just see what this yields. I'm kind of curious. We might get, no, we didn't get anything. Interesting. Oh, maybe, let me remove this monthly condition here. Interesting. Nothing meeting this criteria right now. Huh. Let's check on a smaller time, or I'm sorry, a larger list. Let's just go to the MSFT chart here and just see what it's looking like. So our stochastic values might be a little hot. I just kind of want to, I'm just looking at charts that are relatively strong here. Let me add the bullies back. I use TTM squeeze indicator much? I see it mentioned a lot, but never used it before. I don't personally use it. But nothing wrong with using it. You know, what I think I would do is if I wanted to use it, I would probably try and utilize the strategy tester to see how well it works, where and how you're wanting to use it. JJ, what does open, high, low, close mean? Are you talking about price source? Are you talking about these guys on price? So it's just referring to the data point on the candle. So it's the open of the candle, the high of the candle, the low of the candle, the close of the candle. Yeah. Yep. It's just referring to the data point on the candle. That's it. So if you're looking for the price right now, as long as you have this current candle toggled on, you're going to always want to use price close. Because it's always going to be referring to the current candle. It's always going to be referring to the current price. Sorry, not the current candle, the current price. Current candle toggle determines what candle we're talking about. So we can define the candle that we're talking about using this last function. By last, when it says 0 candles ago, so it's the same thing, and that's referring to the current candle. If I have this current candle toggled off, then it's looking at the most recently closed candle. So that would be the most recently closed 15-minute, the most recently closed daily, and so on. So essentially, if we search this, then all of these conditions were true, and names come up, then all of these conditions were true, but on the most recently closed candle, not the currently open 15-minute and currently open daily. Hopefully that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, do let me know. I'm actually really surprised that nothing's coming up here. I would kind of anticipate that something would be coming up. Let me see here. Oh, that's why. I see. I didn't have extended hours turned on, y'all. See, it's easy to make mistakes. The market is not open yet. So it was looking at yesterday. So add extended hours and we'll get some results here. Yeah, Tesla. See, there you go. Tesla meeting that criteria. Let me turn off some items. Yeah, so right now, FSLR, Tesla are your two that are kind of meeting this criteria. They're trading above the upper Bollinger Band. They are the 50, your 50 SMA is above the 200. This is your 200 in kind of green here, and then your 50 in orange. Is there a reason why the fibs? Absolutely, you can change that. So first off, let's do this. Vance, RSI, Stoke, RSI, and Bollinger Band. Scan. And let's save this. So maybe this will help you kind of get to where you're, going. You know, the whole goal here is to just kind of help you. If this doesn't end up finding exactly what you're looking for, you're more than welcome to reach out to me on Twitter, my handle @Krutzky Trades. Feel free to hit me up and let me know. I'm happy to help you adjust this. I would encourage you to play around with it. Again, I don't know specifically the types of settings that you're looking for. I have a decent understanding, but there always can be some fine tuning. You know, maybe you're looking for very specific things, Jeff, with those stochastics. Maybe you're looking for a cross, maybe you're looking for, you know, I don't know. You might be just looking for very specific things. The more specific you can be, the better I can help you find it, I guess is what it boils down to. But yes, so let me show you for editing. And this is going to be true. Do this here. So this is going to be true whether you are utilizing the auto fibs or you're drawing your own. Of course, you can draw your own using the fib drawing tool here. But if you right click on the auto fib and go to properties, you can add up to 12 levels. So there are some defaults. We'll switch this to defaults. So 0, 0.23, 0.382, 0.5, and so on. So here are all your defaults. Change them, adjust them however you want to, and they will appear for you, sir. And then when you adjust them on the autofib side, they're going to automatically adjust on the hand-drawn side as well. So whatever setting you have preset for your autofibs is going to carry over into your drawing as well. So Jeff, do you feel a little bit more cozy about how to look for that sort of stuff? Hopefully some of those scanners that I shared can help you. Do I set volume by price on the daily and then let all the smaller time frames just move according to... So volume by price, my personal way of... We definitely have TTM squeeze. Harmonics, I'm not sure about, Austin. So TTM squeeze is a copyrighted name. We're not allowed to use it. So TTM is just a Bollinger Band and Keltner channel. It's a function of something that's happening with the Bollinger Bands, Keltner channels. Either the Bollinger Bands are inside the Keltner channels or Keltner channels are inside the Bollinger Bands. So your TTM squeeze indicator is called the BBKC squeeze. We do have FOMC minutes, you're right, for sure. When do those come out? I mean, FOMC minutes, the thing about those is that there's rarely anything that we don't already know. Jeff, getting back to your question. Oh, well, let's real quick. Harmonics. I don't think they're... No harmonics. Sorry, sir. 2 p.m. Okay, so we got time. Actually, that'll come out... okay, cool. Good to know. When it comes to volume by price, I'm going to anchor volume by price in a very similar way to how I'm going to anchor VWAPs. Meaning I'm going to anchor based off of something that I think is important fundamentally on the chart. That could be a relative high. That could be a relative low. That could be just essentially like the start of a move. It could be like a swing high or low. It could be a gap up, a gap down, an earnings date, a fundamental news date. If essentially anytime something important happens in a market, and again, it's relative to whatever time frame I'm trading. But anytime something fundamentally important happens, that's usually where I'm going to anchor from per the time frame that I'm interested in trading. So like, for example, on FSLR here, I'm probably going to be more, if I were to trade this, I'd probably be more of a short-term trader on it. What looks important on this chart short-term? I don't know. To me, we had some kind of giant move here on looks to be pretty heavy volume. Back at the beginning of March. So something happened at the beginning of March. I don't know what it is. I could go back and look in news and maybe find it. Or maybe they had earnings. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, so they had earnings announcement. So for me, maybe that earnings announcement seems really important because you had this big move and now we've gone sideways. So I might anchor from that to get a decent idea of two things. I mean, obviously it tells us, it shows us that volume distribution across the whole move. But really that point of control is really important. Where's the most volume at? And then that VWAP, where's our average buyer? So that 201 level seems pretty important. Put a little, actually I can just right click and anchor so I can see that. because now it's anchored from that candle. So even if I go into smaller time frames, it's going to stay on that candle. Whereas with the volume by price, it's anchored to a certain number of candles in the past. So in this case, you're talking about what? 30 candles. So if I switch this to a 15-minute time frame, it's going to anchor to 30 candles back. Yeah, so POC is a part of the volume by price indicator. If we go to the editable criteria here, the edit box, you have point of control, you have volume weighted average price, and then here are your columns. I'm going to make those a little lighter so y'all can see them a little bit better. Yeah, so point of control is where the most volume occurred at price, and that's at 211. Pretty important spot there, that 211 spot on FSLR. At least relative to the move, right? It's all about relative to the move. If I were even a smaller time frame guy, maybe I would just go to the most recent pivot low and kind of see where we're at there. I might anchor a VWAP from here. And maybe if I was looking for a pullback, maybe that's where I'm looking for a pullback to. It's coming back into that anchor VWAP. I don't know. It just depends. It kind of depends on the idea. But at the end of the day, for me, what's kind of most important is to anchor from the most seemingly important candle relative to the time frame that I want to be trading. If you're trading the 15-minute time frame, then maybe it makes sense that you anchor from a 15-minute high or 15-minute low. Or if there's a gap up or a gap down, maybe you anchor to that gap up or that gap down. Because those things kind of represent shifts in the market, right? That's how I think of it. There's not necessarily a right or a wrong way. It's never a bad idea also to know where these things are at bigger levels. You know, if you, for example, FSLR here, what does it look like when we anchor to an all-time high from way back when, back in 2008? You can see the volume distribution. You can kind of see like price taking off this shelf here. And you know that there's not really a ton of volume above, right? So you know where your sellers are, or where your sellers might be, I guess. Is there a way to have the volume by price stay out and not move when you move between time frames? When I set it on 5-minute, that you're trading on, you can also set the daily and not have your 5-minute move. Unfortunately, there's not a way to hold it to. Now, one thing you can do, there is a volume by price drawing tool. So let me show you that. So volume by price drawing tool, you can see the volume by price of a section of a chart. So that's kind of interesting. It still doesn't really do what you're looking for. I think what I would do, it's not super clean, but what I would do is I would utilize kind of a drawing tool. I would just put like a horizontal line at an important level and then right click on it. And I would say like VWAP from relative low. Right? Or like, I don't know, or maybe from like August low. Or POC from August low. And I would just I would go out bigger time frames and look for kind of some of those bigger levels. That way, when you get into the smaller time frames, they're there for you. That's how I would do it. So do I find price respects the anchored VWAP more than the volume by price? When you say volume by price, are you referring to the point of control? Gamma levels on tickers is not possible, Austin, unfortunately. Maybe that'll come in time, but not possible. I'm almost certain that you're referring to, Jeff, when you say does price respect anchored VWAP more than VBP? I think you're referring to the point of control. Does price respect point of control more than volume weighted average price? Am I right on that? I mean, the truth of the matter is, I don't have something that I've absolutely observed in that regard. Yeah, it seems that traders are looking to gamma exposure and deltas for options trading. Use gamma or delta in your trading. I do not use gamma or delta that much. I have a good friend, my buddy Brent Kachuba from Spot Gamma. I cannot recommend their product more highly. That dude is an options genius, and Spot Gamma is a really great tool if you are interested in those deeper breakdowns. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even read your last sentence. People like Spot Gamma. Yes. Yeah. The dude is very, very bright, and he's a very, very kind fellow too. Yeah. So me personally, I'm keeping my eye more on VWAP personally, but never a bad idea to know where these big POC levels are. You know, I'm kind of using them more as like a temperature gauge. Is price above them or below them? And that's really kind of how I use VWAP too. You know, admittedly, I'm not necessarily taking trades if price bounces off of VWAP or something. I always want to know where it is, but it's more so temperature gauge. Where are we relative to these things? Are we super extended in one way or another? That's why I like those divergences, especially when we're coming into relative highs or relative lows and we're starting to maybe see a little bit of weakness or a little bit of strength under the hood. That's how I use them. Yeah, correlated spread trading is that's a whole nother level. That's outside of my realm of knowledge, admittedly. But yeah, Jeff, to answer your question, like I said, I for me it's kind of more of a relative thing. You know, where's price relative to these things? One thing that I like to use POC or rather volume by price for that I kind of find interesting is the tendency for these areas where there's like no volume for price to actually like find resistance and support at them. You think that that price should like ghost right through them and ghost, you know, if price is coming into this area, it should just fall straight to the next area where there's lots of volume. But something that I kind of observe over time, I don't have data to back it up. So, you know, take it for what it is. But something that I kind of observe over time is that actually sometimes these like low volume levels, price can actually find some support and some resistance at these areas. So kind of interesting to watch. What do you mean? What's the momentum? Yeah, so with RSI, I don't really so much use it as a temperature gauge. I use it more as a means of identifying potential for reversals. And I guess you could call that temperature, the temperature changing. Um, but I'm using VWAP, I'm using point of control more as where is price relative to them? Is it extended away from them? Is it at them? I'm using RSI for more of immediate reversals or like reversals forming. So kind of like I'm using key daily key levels on multiple time frames, usually going no lower than the 15 minute. 15 minute for me, no matter how hard I try to get better at 1 minute, 5 minute, whatever, 15 minute levels for me are just kind of where they're at. I just find that I'm the best at identifying 15-minute levels, so I usually won't go much lower than there. So I'll have 15-minute levels drawn on my chart, usually a level higher, a level lower, and then once it's there, I'll have a general idea of where VWAP is. It could be daily VWAP, it could be an anchored VWAP of some kind, depending on where it's at on the chart. And then using RSI and what's going on with price to identify if price is actually, if I should anticipate price to gain a level, lose a level, hold at a level. What do I look for in the volume profile? Well, I mean, really, it all boils down to three things. I look for where the VWAP is, I look for where point of control is, and I look for where these little volume gaps are. Yeah, so with trend, admittedly, I don't use too many moving averages. But the more back testing I do, the more strategy testing I do, the more I find it would be better if I use them. Again, as a temperature gauge, is price above or below them? Are they above or below each other? You know, just for identifying very simple, basic trend stuff, knowing where your 50 SMA is on a small time frame, not necessarily a bad idea. Knowing where your 200 SMA is on a small time frame, not necessarily a bad idea. It's not the end all be all, but just kind of knowing some of these very basic things. And honestly, what I would use if I were you is I would use the SMART checklist. There it is, checklist. Let me show you this. This is actually a really, really cool way of doing it. If you have very basic things that you want to define, and you don't want to have to look on your chart to make sure that all of those things are true. So let's just say, I'm going to go to my scripts here. I'm going to create a new one. And let's just add some basic stuff. Let's just say price 15-minute close is greater than indicator 15-minute simple moving average 50, right? And let's also then say price 15-minute close is greater than indicator 15-minute simple moving average 200. Let's also say that a 15-minute 200 or 15-minute 50 is greater than indicator 15-minute simple moving average 200. Let's also say that price is closed greater than indicator 15-minute VWAP. This will just be daily VWAP. We could define all kinds of things here. Maybe we want to also say that price is, I don't know. Let's say something random. Let's say 15-minute price close less than yesterday's close, right? We could do all kinds of things here, but let's just call this bare minimums. Meaning these are the bare minimum conditions that have to be true in order for us to want to be in a trade. We're just, again, just making things up here. I'm just kind of trying to show you guys how to do this. So we've made this script. We say save, we called it bare minimums. Now we open up our SMART checklist. We search bare minimums. Here it is. We choose the script. And what it does is it instantly it adds all of those conditions into the smart checklist, and it instantly notifies me based off of what's going on in the chart, what of those conditions are true. I don't have to go to different time frames. I don't even have to have the indicators on the chart. It's all just right here for me. So I can see the 15-minute close is greater than these moving averages. The only thing that's not true is that price is above the VWAP here on the 15-minute. That's it. It's the only thing that's not true. 4 of these conditions are true. This condition is not true. Therefore, it's not all true, right? And I could go to other tickers, and I could see what's true on those particular tickers. We want to go to the current candle. So if you have these minimums that you're looking for, but you don't want to have all that stuff on your chart, this is a really quick and easy way. Strat traders, folks who trade the strat are always looking for time frame continuity. Full time frame, FTFC. And these are just 3 time frames, is the 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minute. So again, if you're looking for that multi-time frame continuity, you can add a ton of conditions in here, whatever you want. And in this particular case, all these candles are green. So it's telling me that all those candles are green. I don't have to jump through different time frames to look for conditions to be true. So this might be a really helpful tool that you could use to kind of expedite your analysis. You could do this another way too. You know, you could always have you could search for it, right? So you could say load from template, FTFC. You could scan through maybe your own personal watch list. Like here's my Jason close watch. And I could scan for names on my close watch that are meeting this criteria. That would be another way of doing it, kind of a backhanded way of doing it, but kind of like the checklist more, only because it doesn't matter what name you go to, it's going to look at that name, tell you what's true, whether it's on a list or whatever. So I don't know, is that helpful, you guys? Does that kind of, I don't know, get you where you're trying to go? I am quite over time here, and I do need to start prepping for my space. So unless anybody has any other questions, I'm probably going to go ahead and jump on out of here. It's been awesome getting to dig in with you guys on some of this stuff. It's really what I'm here for, is to do this. And I will be back actually tomorrow. I'll be back here live, 9 a.m. Eastern time, just for pre-market, hanging out, talking shop, answering questions like this if you have them. Prefer dark background, recently switched to light background, feel my eyes don't hurt as much. Do you know how many traders prefer white? I do not. I prefer the darker background, but I sit in front of screens all day. And I've also got like lights pointing at me. So anything to make things a little less harsh. Robert, no problem. Happy to be here with you guys. I cannot tell you guys how much I appreciate your continued patronage to my humble show here. Lori, I see you all the time. Robert, see you all the time. 88, see you all the time. Jeff, you've been here some. Austin, I recognize all you guys, so I really do appreciate JJ, you too. So later today, 12 o'clock Eastern time, just a brief reminder. I'm going to share the link one more time. Let me go grab it. These Twitter spaces are always so good. Truly. They're always so good. I always learn a ton. And the lineup today is just so banger. We just got such a good group of folks. So if you guys are around today on Twitter, 12 o'clock Eastern time, join up, be a part of the space. If you have questions for any of our guests, you can post them in the chat in the space. I like to keep my eye on those and ask any questions that come through. And again, I will be live tomorrow for pre-market, 9 a.m. Eastern time, doing the exact same thing here. Daniel, you got your bounce? Ooh, yeah. Whoa, look at us. We're there, huh? Be interesting to see how this day plays out. Coming off of those highs, I see. I should have just done that on my chart, huh? Actually, let's go to the 5-minute. Yep, right at the 50% retrace, huh? Interesting, buddy. Well, we'll see. Coming into these highs too, huh? Okay, so yes, where was I at? Twitter space, 12 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow, I will be back, 9 a.m. Eastern right here. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being here with me. I really do appreciate it. If you have not yet, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. It allows me to keep on doing these. I really enjoy doing them, and I'd like to continue. So keep on coming around. Keep on coming to me with your questions. If you got them, come hang out tomorrow. And again, hook me up with a follow on Twitter at Krutzky Trades. And I'm an open book. You know, if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to reach out. My DMs are open. Happy to help with whatever I can help with. And big shout out to Harrison Murby today for calling me out. I appreciate it, Harrison. If you're still here, thanks for calling me out. That's what I need. Checks and balances. Have a great rest of your day, y'all. And trade them well out there. Be safe. Love you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.